Yeah, hello. Welcome to Agile Project Management with Scrum Framework online training. So this training will take you through the entire Scrum framework. So upon successful completion of this training, you will be very clear about the Scrum framework from starting from the product backlog till the sprint retrospectives. The course content, we'll have a small introduction about Agile Project Management. What is Agile Project Management? Short form, it is APM. Then we'll discuss about Agile Manifesto, Agile Principles. Then I start with the Scrum Framework overview, Scrum values, Scrum roles, product backlog, sprint planning and sprint backlog, sprinting, daily Scrum and stand-up meetings, sprint reviews, sprint retrospectives, and a little bit about scaling Scrum, how to implement Scrum in larger teams. Now, in the industry, people use the term Agile and Scrum intermittently. So this slide will give you absolute clarity on what is Agile Project Management. Agile Project Management is a common name is a common name for the Agile family of frameworks, because under the Agile family we have n number of frameworks like Scrum, Scaled Agile, Extreme Programming, Test-Driven Development, Disciplined Agiles, and new things are getting released at least once in 6 months. So this list is growing. The whole family of this Agile project management frameworks comes collectively called as Agile family of frameworks. So there are multiple things. Out of this, the Scrum is the most popular one. For all Agile frameworks, the central theme is an iteration. So it has a 30-day cycle kind of an iteration at the middle, and everything follows iterative and incremental development. And it started with software development projects, and now these things are getting popular with other project domains. Because of the pandemic, now most of the project teams, they are working from homes, so they started using Agile best practices along with the traditional project management frameworks as well. So now Agile is making a foray into EPC projects as well in a big way. So everything started with the software development. Agile was designed for software development projects almost 20-25 years back, and then it matured there. Now it is finding its way into other domains of project management as well. Now the Agile Manifesto. The Agile Manifesto was coined by thought leaders by almost 20 years back now. The Agile Manifesto says we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work we have come to value. So we value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Then we believe in working software over comprehensive documentation. We believe in customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and we believe in responding to change over following a plan. And out of this, the last sentence is the most important one. That is, while there is value on the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. So, to summarize this, we believe in individuals and interactions over processes and tools. We believe in working software over comprehensive documentation. We believe in customer collaboration over contract negotiation. We believe in responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value on the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. So we are not against documentation. We are for just enough documentation which really adds value. We are not against contracts, because without contracts project cannot happen. At the same time, we focus more on collaboration with the customer to deliver valuable products and services to the customer. And definitely projects need plans, but then we are for, we believe in responding to change over following a plan. So plan is important. Just enough planning is fine. Don't spend too much time in planning. With an overall plan, you start the work. As and when the change happens, we respond to change. So sometimes we may have to tweak the contract types to suit this. That is all advanced stuff. So in this particular training, our objective is to understand the Agile Manifesto. And the last sentence is very important. That is, while there is value on the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. I'm spending some time here on this particular slide because in the industry, many think that Agile means ad hoc or Agile means zero documentation. That's all wrong. Agile just says that, okay, we don't believe in unnecessary documentation. At the same time, we believe in all the valuable documentation. We believe in contracts, but at the same time, we believe more in customer collaboration and responding to change. So once we should understand it holistically. Otherwise, as many in the industry believe that Agile is very ad hoc. Then all the Agile frameworks are founded on 12 Agile principles. The first principle is our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So if you are following a waterfall model, you deliver everything at the completion stage of the product to the customer, whereas here we believe in early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Means once in 30 days, or we'll have frequent releases to the customer. So the customer gets an opportunity to see the product as it matures, so that whatever feedback he has to give, he gets multiple opportunities to give those feedbacks. We welcome changing requirements even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. If you look at things from the customer's perspective, as the project evolves, you may get newer ideas, and if they are suppressed, then the product will suffer. So we welcome changing requirements, and we deliver software frequently. As we said already, it is not a big bang release at the end of the project. We plan for multiple releases to the customer. And business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project and build projects around motivated individuals. And the most efficient and effective method of conveying information is face-to-face conversation. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and the users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Here what it says is primarily talks about 8-hour working days, because no point in working for 16 hours in one day and the next day you work only for 4 hours. So instead of that, Agile teams work consistently for 8 hours per day kind of thing. And we will continuous attention to technical excellence, and good design enhances agility. Because if the design is bad, when the changes happens frequently, the design will not be able to accommodate those changes. So that's why We are talking about service-oriented architecture, highly modular design. So when changes happens, it becomes easy to change the design. Simplicity is the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. Yeah, good designs, most of the time, the good designs are very, very simple. And we always strive to understand ways of achieving more by doing less. The art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. Unnecessary work not done is essential. And the best architectures and requirements and the designs emerge from self-organizing teams. So most of the agile teams, ideally they should function as a self-organizing teams, and at regular intervals the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. That means at the end of every iteration they get into a retrospective meeting where things are discussed, like what all things we did right and what all things we did wrong, and they learn from it and adjust their behavior accordingly during the subsequent sprints. Now we discussed about Agile Manifesto, we discussed about Agile Family, and then we discussed about Agile Principles. Now in the rest of the training we'll focus on Scrum, which is the most popular and adaptable, simple and proven framework among the Agile family of products like Kanban, XP, test-driven development, feature-driven development, Lean and Disciplined Agile, and Scaled Agile. There are multiple frameworks available which are not shown here as well. Out of all these, Scrum is highly matured and it is simple and it is highly portable or applicable across domains. So it is not only for software, it can be applied for other types of projects as well. So we are picking up Scrum and explaining the nuts and bolts of Scrum so that you will have a better understanding of one framework. So once you understand one framework, then it is easy to understand other frameworks as well. The Scrum roles, it has just 3 roles. One is the product owner. The product owner is the person who manages the requirements. So there is a product backlog which contains the requirements of the product or service to be developed. The product owner manages the requirements part of it, and there is a Scrum Master. The Scrum Master ensures that the project is following the Scrum framework, and he supports the team for issue resolutions and stuff like that. And then we have a development team. So the development team comprises of the technical people who are really required to do the project. So traditionally we are used to testing teams and coding teams and documentation teams and design teams, and here in Scrum it is just one development team where all these people are part of it. So there are only 3 roles in Scrum: the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the development team. And here you may not see a project manager role. By and large, the Scrum Master performs that role, and it is a self-organizing team. So we don't the command and control is not there. It is more about a servant leader and collaboration and stuff like that. The Scrum values. For efficient working of Scrum teams, these values are very, very important. So we have the team members should be courageous enough to commit to work and maybe negotiate and stuff like that. They must be highly focused on the project. They must be committed to the project. They should have self-respect and mutual respect across team members, and they must be open to discuss and listen to others and incorporate others' views. And they should be willing to share the true status of the project at any time to the rest of the stakeholders. So without these values, it is very difficult to implement Scrum. Courage, focus, commitment, respect, and openness. We start with an overview of Scrum. So this is the Scrum framework. The beginning is the product backlog, which has the requirements, the tentative requirements of the product to be developed, and a subset of that gets scheduled into a sprint. So this is recommended by the product owner, saying that in the next sprint I want to complete maybe this much. So that becomes, and the team gets into a sprint planning meeting where the duration is 8 hours. They discuss, they estimate, and at the end of it they commit to a set of features, and that becomes the sprint backlog. They commit to a set of features that will be developed in next 30-day cycle, which is the sprint duration. So generally the sprint duration, the thumb rule is the sprint duration cannot be more than 30 days. Some teams runs with 10-day sprints, some teams 30-day sprints. So it is up to the teams to decide. So after the sprint planning meeting, the sprint backlog happens, and the next day onwards, so this is an 8-hour meeting, and the next day onwards, the team starts work on the sprint backlog, and every day there is a daily scrum or a daily stand-up meeting, and at the end of the 30th day or at the end of the sprint duration, a formal sprint review happens by the key stakeholders, and they decide whether the sprint was successful or not. Irrespective of the success and failure of the sprint, after the sprint review, a sprint retrospective meeting is performed, and the findings of those retrospective meetings are pumped back into the subsequent sprint planning meeting. So at the end of the sprint, an increment of the product is made, may not be shipped, is an increment of the product is obtained. So maybe a series of sprints will end up in a release to the customer. So in a nutshell, everything starts with the product backlog. Then we get into a sprint planning meeting. The output is the sprint backlog, and the team starts sprinting, and every day there is a daily stand-up meeting. So at the end of the sprint, there is a formal sprint review, and product increment happens. And after the sprint review, there is a sprint retrospective meeting, and the findings of what all things we did right and wrong, all those things gets documented, and it gets incorporated into the subsequent sprint planning meetings. So this is the total flow. Now let us get into each of these components in detail. Now, what is a product backlog? A product backlog is a wish list of features. So these are one-liners. Okay, these are the features that may or may not get into the product. But as a product owner, whenever I think of a probable feature which may be incorporated into the product, I make an entry into the product backlog. And the product backlog is allowed to grow indefinitely. You look at any successful product, it evolves over a period of time. If you look at the first iPad and the current iPad, there is a huge change. So the product backlog is continuously, growing. So here is an example of a product backlog for online market. So as a product owner, these are my initial thoughts which are captured as a product backlog. Users must be able to log in, users must be able to buy online, users must be able to pay online, users must be able to rate the products, users must be able to rate their buying experience. There should be a blog page which details about the latest products and stuff like that. And logo must be there, product catalog, and pricing must be there, shopping cart, and this keeps evolving, and my catchphrase. So this product backlog keeps evolving, and the product owner maintains it. It is not only evolving it, prioritizing it, validating it, cleansing it. So this is a continuous activity, and that is performed by the product owner. Then sprint planning meeting. Sprint planning meeting, the duration of a sprint planning meeting for 30 days work is 8 hours. The full team must be present, and the maximum sprint duration is 30 days. Some teams runs with 10 days or 14 days. Some teams runs with 30 days. The only rule here is you should not be changing the sprint duration very often. So during the first 4 hours of the planning meeting, selection of the packages or of the features that must be developed, that happens. The team thinks through the feasibility part of it and fine-tunes the estimate. And during the second 4 hours, the team decomposes the features into activities, estimate the activities, and then they do kind of load balancing. Means what is the team size, and how many working days are there in this 30 days, and how many hours, and totally what is estimated hours for the work, and what is the capacity available. So the team thinks through all these things, and at the end of the planning meeting, the team commits to the scope of work within the sprint. So that means their confidence level is pretty high. The product owner proposes a set of features. The team thinks through the dependencies, the technical feasibility, and they decompose it into minor tasks and estimates them, and they do a kind of capacity verification or validation, and then they commit, saying that the next 30 days time we will be able to perform this. So that is the sprint planning meeting. Some of the common mistakes people do while performing the sprint planning meetings are sometimes we said it's a self-organizing team, so sometimes experts dominate, like they throw their all the estimates they decide. They do not allow others to contribute. The process is not followed. Sometimes it becomes free for all. Sometimes enough time is not provided. From our experience, okay, if you have to perform a reasonably good sprint planning meeting, it will take at least 5 hours time. So some teams completes it in 1 hour's time. So then the process gets diluted. Then the lack of preparation by the project manager, in this case it is a Scrum Master, product owner, because when the team members ask more questions, if the product owner is not prepared, then you'll end up in trouble. You will not be able to answer most of the questions. So product owner should walk in fully prepared. So this is an error. This must be read as product owner, not project manager. Then lack of participation by team members. The team members also should come prepared. They can always get the probable features that will get scheduled in this next sprint from the product owner very early, and then perform R&D on it, and then come back and then get into the planning meeting. So that will be good. Sometimes missing members, all the team members may not be present. There may be other organizational distractions. So all these things can hamper an effective sprint planning meeting. So the Scrum Master should ensure that these things are not happening. Then the sprint backlog, as discussed before, the sprint backlog is the output of the sprint planning meeting, and it is a clean set of work which is estimated and discussed, debated, and concluded, and estimated clean set of work on which the team has full confidence that they can complete it in the next sprint. It is a subset of the product backlog estimated and committed by the team to be completed during the sprint. Now, from our previous example, if this is the total product backlog, now the team says that okay, this and this, the product owner proposes these two features to be completed in the next sprint. The team validates it, estimates it, and then at the end of the sprint planning meeting, the team says, okay, these two things we can do, and that becomes your sprint backlog. Then sprinting. Once the sprint backlog is decided, the next step is sprinting. The sprint team size is 10 plus or minus 2. So if you want to implement Scrum in larger teams, 100-member team, then we are talking about 10 teams of 10 members each. Then Scrum Master may be same, product owner may be same, but then the team may be 10 teams working on the same product. So if the team size increases, then the effectiveness of Scrum reduces. Meeting times will increase. So it is stipulated at 10 plus or minus 2. Work volunteering / allocation. So as per the textbook or as per the guidelines, work volunteering is mandated to be effective in Scrum. But then from my experience, okay, some teams, they still follow work allocation. Then the team performs the work, and it is not only doing individual work, the team members must help others to make the sprint successful. Because if you have planned for 3 features and if only 2 features are completed, technically the sprint becomes a failure. So everybody should be able to complete their work. So it is the team members not only do their work, they should be able to or willing and able to help others to complete their work as well. And they continuously revises the estimates daily. So on a daily basis, they re-estimate the balance hours required to complete each task within the sprint. So they have the authority to revise the estimates daily based on their hands-on experience on those tasks. And sprinting, some of the common mistakes when the team is really working on a particular sprint, the other organizational disturbances can happen. Team members can be pulled out for working on pre-sale activities or on other projects or for defect-related work or for unnecessary meetings. So the Scrum Master should ensure that the team members are not disturbed unnecessarily. So they should be able to focus on the activities within the sprint and then work. Then seniority versus meritocracy, because sometimes there is a general notion that the moment the person has more number of years experience is better. That is not so, because sometimes you see many inexperienced people who have great potential are technically superb guys coming in. So we should be there must be a proper balance between seniority versus meritocracy. And when people work in distributed team, if there is not much of collaboration tools, that becomes a challenge. So there should be excellent collaboration tools, especially when people work from home and they are working on Scrum teams. Then a daily Scrum. It is also popularly known as the daily stand-up meetings. It is a 20 minutes meeting. So when the team size is 10, each member will get 2 minutes to speak, and all are welcome. It is not just the team. Even if others want to know what is really happening in the project, they can also come and participate in this meeting. But the only thing is they should not hijack the meeting. They should not ask questions because the time is stipulated at 20 minutes. And every team member will get 2 minutes time, and they discuss 3 points, like each team member will update the rest of the team on what did they do during the previous day, and what am I doing, what am I currently working on, and what are the issues I'm facing. So this meeting should not be converted into an issue resolution meeting. So they just highlight these 3 things. That's it. So in 2 minutes time, each team members will be able to say these 3 things so that the entire team knows the status of the project every day. And daily Scrum common mistakes. Sometimes the Scrum Master and the product owner will be tempted to convert this daily stand-up meetings into a problem-solving meeting. That is a big issue because then the 20 minutes meeting will get extended into maybe 1 hour or 2 hours. That will waste a lot of team members' time. So what you can do is you do the 20 minutes meeting and then say that is a Scrum meeting, daily Scrum meeting or a daily stand-up meeting. And after 20 minutes you should say, now we are moving to an issue resolution meeting. So we don't need the entire team for that. Only so of people are required, so that you can allow the rest of the team members to go back to work. Only the people who are really required need to attend the issue resolution meeting, whereas a daily stand-up meeting the entire team should attend. So if you can create a logical partition there, then it becomes effective. So again, Scrum Master should ensure that these things are strictly followed. Then at the end of the sprint, we said 30-day sprint, so at the end of the sprint, a formal sprint review happens. So that is a 4 hours meeting anyone can attend. The agenda that checks the completed work against the criteria determines the success or failure of the sprint. So during the sprint planning meeting, the team at the end of the sprint planning meeting, the team committed on a scope of work that can be completed within the sprint. So at the end of the sprint, there is a formal review by the relevant stakeholders to check whether those criteria are met and the scope of work is completed and they met the acceptance criteria. And if they met it, it is declared as success. Otherwise, it is not a success story. The sprint is a failure. So both are okay. Sprint review common mistakes. Sometimes the acceptance and success criteria is not clearly defined upfront. So many times when the review happens, the success and failure of the sprint is determined by the views and opinions of others, which is not okay. So you must define the acceptance criteria at the beginning of the sprint, at the in the planning meeting, its sprint planning meeting itself, and towards the end of the sprint, you should just validate the output of the sprint against those predefined criteria and then decide. So again, Scrum Master and the product owner should ensure that this acceptance criteria are defined during the sprint planning meeting itself or prior to it, so that the team is in sync with it before starting the development. Then sprint retrospectives. This is also known as lessons learned meetings. So at the end of the sprint review, we get into sprint retrospective meetings. So here we discuss about what all things we did right and did wrong, and the learnings are getting incorporated into the subsequent sprint planning meetings. So that is a great advantage, because in the traditional models, these lessons learned happen at the end of the project, whereas here the lessons learned happen at the end of every sprint, and immediately the learnings gets pumped back into the subsequent sprint planning meetings. Again, sprint retrospectives, the common mistakes are lack of rigor. People are not very serious about it. And they don't get into the real root causes. Instead, they end up correcting symptoms than addressing root causes. So if you do this, the issue is, okay, the problems will keep on recurring into the subsequent sprints as well. So we started with the product backlog owned by the product owner. Then we got into sprint planning meeting, which is attended by the whole team, including the Scrum Master and the product owner. The product owner proposes a subset of the features to be developed, and the team, after detailed elaboration and discussions, they agree on a set of features to be developed during the next 30 days. And they get into the sprint. The team works on the sprint backlog, and there is a daily scrum or a daily stand-up meeting where the team members say three things. They convey three things to the rest of the team. They're like, what did I do yesterday? What am I doing today? And what are the issues I'm facing? And at the end of the Scrum Master should ensure that the issues are resolved immediately, otherwise the sprint output will be affected. And then after the sprint duration, then there is a formal sprint review. The increment of the product is ready, and then there is a sprint retrospective meeting where we discussed what all things we did right and wrong, and all those learnings are gets incorporated into the subsequent sprint. So the framework is very simple, straightforward, and it is applicable across project domains. Software, it is a right fit, and even in EPC project, okay, these things can be used along with the traditional project management systems. Now, one of the constraint was, okay, the team size is stipulated to 10. So if you want to incorporate into a larger teams, you should break the teams into smaller teams, and each team will have a Scrum Master and product owner. So it can be, so another question is, can one product owner be the product owner for multiple teams? Yes. Can one Scrum Master be the Scrum Master for multiple teams? That is also possible. So this is the Scrum framework, and I hope you got a fair understanding of the Scrum framework. So we discussed about what is Agile project management. We said it's a multiple Agile frameworks are there. Then we discussed about Agile Manifesto and the 12 Agile Principles. Then we got into Scrum, and we understood the components of Scrum and the roles and responsibilities, like the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the development team. And we even discussed about what all things can go wrong during the planning meeting, during the daily stand-up meeting, during the reviews, and during the retrospectives as well. So these things can be great pointers for the Scrum Master. So thank you very much for watching this video from the Project Management Research Institute. You will find more material related to Agile and traditional project management at pmri.in.